the summer I turned pretty, I actually have my final episode reaction, you guys. Finally, I watched it and I actually had to stay up. I was wrong with the Eastern Standard Time. I had to stay up until 3 a.m. And it was just over an hour long, but well worth watching. So I was up for it, ready to watch it, and I'm very happy with certain things that happened. But I'm gonna tell you also, spoilers are gonna be included in here, so if you don't want spoilers, don't watch this movie or come back once you watch it. But if you don't mind spoilers or you already watched it, let's talk about it. So firstly, Jeremiah is pursuing being a chef and he's doing really well. And he's also heating up things between him and his coworker, him and Denise, which that I kind of thought that could happen. They seem kind of like flirty. I mean, he's a very flirty person too. So I kind of saw the potential there. They weren't like legitly dating, but I could see that happening at that point. Who knows though, we'll see. Anyway, regardless, they're all having fun, happy. They're all busy, moving on or trying to move on. Or even just having a little bit of fun. Why not? You know, like he just got dumped by Belly, who is gonna marry him. So I don't blame you for living your dreams. And I think he's more focused on becoming a chef than being with her, but that's okay. But I think it'll work out because they're both focused on the same career. Let me know what you think about that too, because we only got like a small snapshot of it. But this is the final episode. However, maybe there will be some sort of new movie in the future based off of like certain characters, because that can also happen too. Even though it's done, they can do whatever they want after this point. But we'll see, because they've definitely had a lot of high ratings and interest in the show, obviously, because it's a very good story. And a lot of the characters are really beautiful, and there's a great plot line there too. And some very outlandish stuff going on. There's a lot of tea and gossip in here too, so it's definitely very interesting. And you guys, you want to know what else I'm very happy about? Steven and Taylor worked out the toxicity, you guys. They were the healthiest I've ever seen, and I'm so happy for them. I actually had a feeling that would happen. If that wouldn't happen, I would have been very sad, because I think they had the most potential to make it work. And my gut was right, because I was so happy to see them end up together, and the best they've ever been. Although there was definitely some bickering. I think that's kind of normal, because the biggest issue was actually loyalty between them. And that was not even a problem. They worked out the major issues. And I think also they just met at the wrong time. It's like similar to like Belly and Conrad, although way worse, obviously. But I don't think they were in a good place, even though they definitely had feelings for each other, which was hard to watch them go through that, because you could tell they cared. They just didn't act right. And they definitely worked on their maturity. However, they had healthy bickering. It was almost like they were a married couple, is the best way to explain it. Does anyone else agree? Because that's exactly how I felt watching this. And that was a very good energy. The best I've seen in the show. Except maybe like the very, very beginning before things went really sour. But that was the best I've ever seen them by far. By far. And it was very fun to watch. And they were throwing an event to impress her boss. So awesome. Very excited that happened. And they were definitely having fun. And Jeremiah was helping them too with it. Yeah, anyway. It was a lot of fun to watch. They definitely deserve their happy ending, and I'm so glad they were able to mature, because sometimes that does happen in the stories where maybe they didn't mature enough or at all, or it was like a wrong person situation. But you could definitely tell it was the right person. It was ultimately depending on if they were willing to grow and make it work, and it did happen. So thank goodness they both had grown from their toxicity, and they realized that they really had strong feelings for each other that they could not replace. And I really like that character as a couple, even though I don't agree with the cheating. I don't know how that even happened between them. That's sad, because maybe it was because they didn't know how intense their connection was at first, and they were so young. I don't know, but I'm just saying, not that I condone that behavior, but I'm glad they were able to make it work out, because I wouldn't have stayed through it. Yeah, especially like if you're not married or there's no kids. So yeah, for sure me, I would not. Nope. So also, I have to tell you that I'm very happy that things worked out for them. And I really love watching. Oh, I have to say this too about the show. there's a lot of couples that made me uncomfortable. For example, I could not even watch Belly and Jeremiah majority of the time. When they were like a bad match for each other, I couldn't watch. So there were some very cringy moments between them. Like, he was definitely in his frat boy era. And not saying that like frat boys are bad, I'm just saying, because like I dated one, but I'm saying like it was giving like kind of selfish energy, like still cared, but I didn't always like the interactions between them always. I didn't really like watching them as a couple. There was a few scenes that were okay, but majority of them very cringe, and I really wanted to just like fast forward to all of them. But actually, I really like Denise and Jeremiah together. I feel like they are not as cringy. I don't know. Does anyone else feel that way? Like they were very, maybe it was just because I had the thought that they had the relationship previously with the other brother first, Conrad. But Conrad and Belly were not an embarrassing couple to watch. I really liked watching them. But there is definitely some moments where I'm like, oh, toxic. But Steven and Taylor were also a good one to watch. But yeah, I don't know. Did anyone else feel that way, or is it just me? Maybe it's because I was like team Conrad majority of the seasons anyway. Maybe that's what it was. I don't know. And Conrad's more my type anyway. But whatever. It doesn't really matter. The connections are connections. But yeah. Also too, I have to tell you, we saw Conrad in the last scene of the last episode before this final episode that he had left to meet Belly in France for her birthday, okay? And he was trying to tell her that he had feelings for her because her brother and her just broke up recently in the past few months or even year. Like, I don't know exactly the timeline there, but she had been there for a little bit and she was planning on staying there for a year. And he went and visited her without her knowing and just showed up to her door, and he saw her kissing Benito, the man from France she was linked with, and like that liked her there, and they dated. And we weren't sure if they were still together at that point, because I think they definitely were, but we found out that they broke up at the dinner that night. So I'm glad we found that out, but I wish we knew more information about it. But honestly, do I think that that could have been the one? Maybe, but it also could have really not been the one, because I think we all knew that Belly had strong feelings for other people at that point. So I didn't know if it would work out or not, but still, she's still having fun. It can happen when you least expect it. You don't know compatibility, whatever, or what you need. So I can't say that's a no. But obviously, them breaking up before him getting there, and then him coming to dinner that night, and was perfect timing for him to get there. So it was all meant to work out that way. And that's why they were definitely meant to talk it out that night. But the thing is though, she was definitely very caught off guard, and she was very uncomfortable too. Like when she saw, not like when she saw him, but like she was just very surprised. And I don't know, she was very like held back when she showed him around the city. But as I would too, because like that's my ex from like a long time ago. And especially in this case, because he pushed her away, right? I'd be scared too. And also because she was like gonna marry her brother. Anyway, yeah. That's some weird stuff. That's some very odd family drama. Anyway, is that legal? I don't know. It shouldn't be. Anyway, so I ended up thinking that it was kind of awkward when they first were interacting around the city, like almost like she was holding back, or almost like she wasn't. Well, to be fair, they hadn't seen each other in such a long time that she wasn't sure if she still felt the same connection to him, and also vice versa. Like she was also concerned that his feelings were not legitimate. Like she thought that maybe he only liked her because there was a letter that Susanna wrote him when she died of cancer, saying basically, the only girl that I knew that you loved was Belly, her, right? So she thought that maybe he only loved her because the letter, but he said, no, that's not even true. And she didn't believe it at first, but he made a move on her when they left the party and they were like kissing and stuff, whatever. They got steamy and it was fun to watch because I was like, oh, but it was very odd interaction before then. So, but we knew that probably something was going to happen because she was single. And yeah, so once that happened, he told her why he was there, because she asked him why he was there, because she had a feeling that he was there for a reason, because that's how this man is. Like, he always has a reason to be there. So she was aware that something, and he wasn't saying it. And he said, yeah, he said that he never lost feelings for her, whatever, and never will, and essentially. And she was very hesitant and didn't believe it at first. And she essentially let him leave to go to the train. So he was going to go to Brussels, which I don't even know. I think that I would have to rewatch it, but I think that he just made up the Brussels thing. So he said that he was going to Brussels for a conference, and he stopped to see her on the way. I don't even think that's true. I think he just used it as a ploy to get out there. And because they were also saying that Brussels wasn't even close. So regardless. But honestly, I would probably do that if I knew someone. Anyway, because it's a lot cheaper to travel abroad. Anyway, and more fun. I like traveling outside of the country. So I would like to do that too. But once you're out there, it's easier to travel and more affordable, for those who don't know. Or at least it was back in my day when I was abroad. So I still assume so, because it's ridiculously high here for some reason. But yeah, so I honestly was thinking that it wasn't true, that he was just lying to get out there, which is totally fine. I would have done the same too. But the thing is, so she ended up realizing once he left to go on the train, because he basically was only there for the day, right? And because he was trying to not like overstay his welcome, because like he was only there for one reason, her, just to say hi and confess his feelings. She didn't think that he was being genuine. And then when he left, after they had like talked and like kissed and whatever, so she realized that he was being authentic and chased him to the train. And she literally ran and got in a cab. And also, I'm glad that he actually didn't lie about going to Brussels, because I was thinking while she was running to the train that he might not even be on that train going to Brussels, because I didn't actually know if he was going to go. So, does anyone else feel that way? But yeah, so luckily she ends up finding him. She runs through the train, eventually finds him, thank goodness. I was worried that she wouldn't be able to find him on the train, like that he wasn't going to be on there. But she found it. It was all meant to work out that way, I guess. I think he was hoping that she would end up coming after him, or not. I don't think he necessarily cared either, but he was just going with his gut. And she went with her gut too, and ran after him and found him. Thank goodness it was all meant to work out that way. And they got together, and it's all working out. And then we saw them all going home. So Belly came home for the first time with him too, and everyone's very happy. And I was very excited to see it too, because there was a lot left up for us to think about from the last episode too. And yeah, they've really evolved as characters too, but oh my goodness, I have a lot of thoughts. And I actually really liked Belly and Conrad's interaction better now than in the first place when they first started to talk and date. So that's really good development too. And I honestly think they were a better couple than Steven and Taylor, because I was saying in the last video that I posted that I thought that they were a really solid couple. Like, at least besides the toxicity a long time ago, like the feelings were definitely there. You could tell. But yeah, it was definitely genuine. And these people didn't even cheat on each other. They switch brothers, which is weird too. So they can't complain, because they are toxic too in their own way. And yeah, but I would have been happy to see Belly on her own too, and just happy. I just want everyone to be happy at the end of the day and doing whatever makes them feel good. Like, listen to your gut.